In this video, we're going to talk about how to think like a programmer. Now, this is a concept I think that is really helpful for anyone. Whether you're a programmer or not a programmer, it really doesn't matter, but it will teach you to think about problems in a different way. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications so you do not miss a future video. So when it comes to thinking like a programmer, the first piece of advice that I would give you is to be pragmatic. Now, this is something I've seen a lot over the years. Some of the best developers I've worked with are very pragmatic. So what do I mean by pragmatic? So by pragmatic, I mean they do things that are in a common sense way. They do things that are practical, but not necessarily perfect. So they don't want to try and set out to be the most perfect solution. So one way to think about that is being able to put in the least amount of effort to get the maximum results. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later in the video, but the way I like to look at pragmatism is that you're doing something that is the most obvious approach in a certain situation. So I'll give you an example of how you might use pragmatism to make a decision. So let's say, for example, you have a website and less than 1% of your visitors are using a specific browser. So let's say like 0.5% of the visitors to your website is using Internet Explorer 6. So this is a browser that most web developers hate. And by this point, most web developers do not support Internet Explorer 6. But you have a customer that is giving you so much grief about this experience of using your website in Internet Explorer 6. So even if this customer is a paying customer, the fact that they weigh up 0.5% of your paying customers, and in the case of this customer, they are only one out of a larger number of customers. Is it going to create enough value that it is worth doing? Of course, you would love to have the perfect software, the perfect website, all of your customers are happy. But there are times when you have to weigh up the fact that the small number of customers that require the large amount of effort, you have to weigh that up and say, is this really worth it? And to me, that is a good example of pragmatism. So in this example, you would say, okay, we do not support this specific browser, but we will support all of the major browsers. So you'll go towards the browsers that have the most numbers, and that means that you're not doing lots of work for this specific tiny subset of customers whenever you could be spending that time and that energy on the vast majority of your customers. So it's not the most perfect outcome. You would love to support all of your customers, but in that specific case, the pragmatic approach would be to support the larger number of customers. So you would recommend to that customer that you would upgrade the browser that way that you are using the software that is being supported. So that's an example of how you would use pragmatism to solve a problem. The second piece of advice I would give in order to think like a programmer is to weigh up solutions before you jump in. Programmers are great at analyzing the situation. They weigh up what is happening, what are possible solutions, what is the best solution in order to solve this problem. You should be weighing up several different ways to solve that problem. What is the pros and what is the cons of each solution, and trying to determine which solution is best. So sometimes the best solution is not the first solution that you come up with. The next point I'm going to discuss is about getting the maximum results for the most minimum amount of effort. Now, we mentioned it briefly early in the video. Something that we don't really consider when it comes to programmers is the ability to automate everything. Now, this is something I try to encourage people to do. It's something I try to work into my own projects or my own startups. Automate everything is one of the best approaches that you can make as a programmer. Now, this means that things run every day, whether you show up or not. I have used this approach in the past and on many projects I have worked on. So the ability to write functionality, write code that can run and execute on a time frame that you control. When you automate most of your workflow, it really frees you up to do other things. The real power of automation comes in the fact that it can free you up to do other things. So it will run every day, every hour, depending on how you schedule the tasks or the code that you're running. So if you can find ways to automate some of the more mundane tasks or the more repetitive tasks in your life, then it will really free you up to have more time to do more important things. So that is some of the most important concepts that you can apply to your life, whether you are a developer or whether you are a programmer or not. So try to find ways in which you can automate things in your life, and you will really free up more time to focus on bigger things. So this is some of the most important things I think you can apply to your life and how you can think like a programmer to make things run more streamlined and more efficient in your life. Let me know in the comments below if you have any additional tips on how you can think like a programmer. So hopefully you guys have found this video helpful. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content. And I will see you guys in the next video.